Well, hey everybody, it's Sandy and welcome back to my channel dedicated to helping you advocate for your own health, one topic at a time. So guys, as you can tell from the title, I finally got my bivalent booster. I think I'm a little behind most of my subscribers because I think most people who follow my channel, most people who participate in the Facebook group, I might be the last one to the party. So in this video, I'm just going to talk a little bit about what I did differently. I did one thing very differently this time around. Some talking about why I waited until I did because I'm 10 months out since my previous boost. It's a long time. And then I'm going to talk about what I'm doing differently. And a spoiler alert, that I'm going to be turning over a new chapter here. So I am going to be doing some things very differently going forward. And I want to talk about that too and how I arrived at that decision. So let me first thank my subscribers. Those of you who have recently subscribed, thank you and welcome. And those of you who've been with me for a while, I just want to thank you. It's been a while since I've thanked everybody, and I'm sorry for that. Those of you who have not subscribed to my channel, but you like my content, I'll thank you in advance for considering subscribing. Those of you who've been with me for a while know that I do not load my channel up with affiliate links. So when I try to look for recommendations to make, be it PPE type products or supplements or anything like that, I don't want the room for bias that a commission would create. So I don't load my channel up with affiliate links. I also decided I was going to start this channel as my way of giving back. So my only way forward is to grow the subscribership. So thank all of you for subscribing. Thank you very much. And please consider subscribing if you haven't done so already. So that out of the way, I got my bivalent booster. What did I do differently this time? I got Pfizer, and I'm going to talk about that in just a minute. And the other thing is I had waited 10 long months, and there was a lot of individual calculus that went into that. So I'm going to talk about that too. Yeah. So Pfizer. In the past, I had only Moderna. I got an original 2-part series with Moderna. I had 2 subsequent boosts with Moderna. Both times I waited a while. Like the first boost I got as soon as it was available. And then the second one, I think I was like 7 or 8 months or something in between since my first boost. I got my second boost. So I did wait for a while to get that boost. And subsequently, I have read that there was a study that came out of the Oregon Health Sciences University where there's a very prominent vaccinologist. And I've been following his work for years before COVID. And what they came out and said is that the longer the period of time between boosts, either whether it's an infection or a boost from a vaccine, that actually the better the augmentation of the antibody response. And that only makes sense, right? Because there's only so high the antibodies can go. So if you already have pretty high antibodies, that a new shot can only do so much. So that was part of my calculus there. Pfizer, why I chose Pfizer. So I did have a lot of reactogenicity with Moderna. I think a lot of people did. It's very hard to tweeze this apart and come up with absolutes. So there are exceptions, but it seems that there was a lot more reactogenicity with Moderna, which in the past for me was welcome with my naive immune system and when this thing was very new. But, along with that comes some potential poking of the immune system. I struggle with some autoimmune issues. I certainly don't want to flare anything like that. I did find myself pretty sick after each Moderna injection, so I was hoping to get a little less reactogenicity with the lower dose with Pfizer and maybe just a little less inflammatory response now that my immune system has seen this disease a few times. And, did that work? I mean, I didn't get so much reactogenicity. So whether it's because I got Pfizer or because that's how it would have been with the bivalent, I'll never know. I've heard people say that the bivalent causes the same kind of symptoms they had with their previous shots. I hear people say, I had no reaction with the bivalent. And maybe it depends how long you've waited, except for I've waited 10 full months. So I thought that if anything, I was going to get more response. But I got very little reactogenicity. I had some pain at the site for about 3 days, and I would say it was moderate. Like I could lie down on that side for a short time if I wanted to. With the Moderna, there was no way I could do that. Plus, with the Moderna, I had more systemic effects, like very fatigued, very just tired and run down. And a couple of the early ones, I had fever. So I didn't have any of that this time. And again, I don't know if that was because I got Pfizer, but I was very happy that I did not have a whole lot of reactogenicity outside of the sore arm. I wasn't even tired. So that was great. What else I did differently besides or why I waited for 10 months? So I said in a video that I did a while back when this booster first came out that I didn't think that the 2 months, no matter, as long as it had been 2 months since your previous boost, no matter what, I didn't think that made good sense, especially not for me. I could see that making sense for people who are very vulnerable, people who are elderly. But I didn't see enough of the upside. I thought that given the fact that the long-term immunity against severe disease and hospitalization and death was still intact with the older vaccines, like I didn't see enough of an upside to go ahead and get the bivalent boost right away. I also felt that I still do feel that with all of these boosts, it seems the immunity peaks and then wanes pretty quickly. And I don't know about you guys, it seems like it wanes faster with each subsequent boost, but I don't have any empirical data to base that on. But you almost have to be strategic. So I felt like, a recommendation like what was given at the time the bivalent came out, I wasn't too surprised that the uptake wasn't great. And I wasn't too at odds with people's decisions on that because, I was one of them. And it seems that you have to really be strategic about when you're going to get this because the immunity wanes so quickly. So when do you want to be super protected? Maybe there's a 3-month period where you're going to be doing some traveling, or when does the infection rate rise and fall in your area? For example, in warm states, seems like it rises when people are indoors in the summer in the air conditioning. And in northern states where it's freezing cold, it seems to be in the wintertime when they're indoors with the heat. So there's even different seasons for this thing in different parts of the country based on climate, in my opinion. So I just really felt that it was not a good idea for me to go out and use that boost up and then kind of not know when I could get one. So, for all those reasons, we decided to wait. I was at a full 10 months and my husband was at 11 months. So, we decided that we were going to get it when we needed a boost, period, regardless of the fact that it was Omicron. So, that left us last week when we both got it. And happily, no side effects for him, only the sore arm for me, just really nothing. And I am going to check my antibodies again in a few weeks just to see what I got. I mean, that's not perfect, but it is helpful to see when they rise and fall. So I'm just going to say to any of you who haven't gotten this thing already, that either COVID or the Omicron bivalent booster, I'm very happy that I did it the way I did it. I think this is something that calls for a very detailed discussion where you can weigh the risks, benefits that you bring to the table and talk to your own practitioner. It seems that the protection, by the way, for people who have had a breakthrough infection, which I have not had, especially an Omicron breakthrough, is very, very protective. I'm not even sure I would have done it at this point, but again, have the conversation with your own practitioner. And I think at this point, we have all different levels of immunity. We have all different individual health considerations. And it's just not like it was, a couple of years ago when this disease arrived on the scene and the entire population was immune naive and broad sweeping recommendations made that much sense. So I don't feel like they really are serving us as best they can right now. So what am I going to be doing differently now? There's a new chapter. So speaking to that issue of more widespread immunity in the population, more immune visuals from my own immune system, more contacts, more experiences with having had 4 boosts plus now an Omicron, so 5 total shots, not 4 boosts. I'd had 2 boosts before, so 5 total shots. I have decided that's enough, and the trade-off of living life without certain experiences is no longer worth it, at least for now. Now, if I go for the next 6 months and I'm out and about and I don't get COVID, I might be inclined to rethink it at that point because I'll be pretty sure, and maybe I'll have more information at that time, that the immunity has waned again. And then I'll be wondering, do I get another boost or do I get sick? My hope is that if I get out there and do things that I was doing before pandemic, and I'm going to explain a little bit more about that in a minute, that as the immunity starts to wane, hopefully if I'm going to get COVID, which I'd still like not to, hopefully I would get it when the immunity is just waned enough to allow it, but not so much that I get super sick. That's a bit of a crapshoot, guys. I know. Go ahead and write prolifically in the comments section about what you think about that. But now there are certain situations where I will still use the respirator, situations where there's absolutely no social cost or that I think are particularly high risk. By the way, I'm not going into like a stadium concert or anything. I don't know when I'm ever going to do something like that again. I am going to be traveling airports and airplanes. I'm going to wear an N95. When I go into a store or something like that, there's no social cost. It's not like I'm going in there to socialize and talk to people. I'm going to wear the mask, but I am going to do more things that are indoors. I'm missing out on too many things, and I think that after this much boosting, I'm at a level that I can live with. Now, am I concerned about long COVID? I am, especially since one of the risk factors is people who have autoantibodies. I do have some autoimmune disease. I have some autoantibodies. However, there is a risk. There are risks to everything, and life was always risky, and probably lots of viruses put autoimmune people at risk for flares. I feel that at this point, just like with the timing of the boost, this is something that you really have to have a very kind of a careful discussion with yourself, maybe with your practitioner, but also this has to do more about your values and what you're getting, what you're gaining, what you're losing in your life. If I knew there were nasal vaccines right around the corner, I would do this differently, but it seems like funding and interest has dried up with this, and I want to get back to doing a few things that I didn't do before. Now, when I go out to restaurants, I live in an area where the weather is nice most of the year. I'm still going to do outdoor dining. But I want to have people over. I want to have dinner parties without making a whole lot out of it, like 3 or 4 days before, and testing. Maybe if I do something larger, I would have people test. I want to go to other people's homes. I want to do holiday gatherings and things that we've really missed out on, or we've changed them in a way that they're not the usual and the comfortable way to do it. I want to start going to some small and medium-sized gatherings. I will be using my Enivid spray. Some people put a post up in the Facebook group about another nasal spray that's supposed to be broadly antimicrobial and it works by a different mechanism than Enivid. So I am going to link the Enivid video here, and then I'm also going to be investigating the other product, but I do intend to use some nasal products for just general antimicrobial help. I think of them like hand sanitizers for the nasal passages. So this is a big deal for me. So let me know if you guys, anybody's done anything differently and starting when, and how did you decide when to turn the page? I don't think there's going to be a better time to turn the page than having just had a bivalent booster. And there's just a lot of things I want to do, and I'm not willing to put them off any longer. And yeah, so that's my big news. I'm so happy that I got the bivalent booster and it didn't cause me all kinds of side effects, just a little bit of pain in the arm, and I can live with that. I'll let you guys know if and when I get my antibodies checked, and I'll let you know if and when I experience any more interesting offshoots of this new chapter that I'm opening up now for myself. So let me know what you guys are doing, and let me know if this was helpful. And until next time, be well. Bye-bye.